Now we're going to hear from Martha Hennessy, who's from the Mary House Catholic Worker in New York City.
Thank you all for being here. I'm addressing the W-76-2 warheads that have recently been deployed out to our oceans on the Trident. And it's a very deceptive practice. Someone asked the question in the chat room about the illusion of safety, and I think that this little sequence that I'm going to share with you may really illustrate how this weapons buildup is just bringing us closer and closer to the brink. These weapons are designed to be more usable. They are very compatible with the U.S. first strike policy. Each one of them carries 5 kilotons worth of power, a third of what was used in Hiroshima. Funding for this kind of warhead was blocked in 2003 because military personnel had some concerns about a president getting it into his head to use these kinds of weapons. We are looking at a 2021 budget of about $30 billion for nuclear upgrades, and of course Congress is very supportive of this. To just give you a little bit of history of the timeline of how this all came to be with the launching of this warhead around Christmas time of this past year. I'll mention August of 2016, there were war games called Global Thunder 17, and of course the target was Iran, and this was the beginnings of really thinking about making a nuclear war possible. March of 2017, there was a congressional hearing, and General Hyten from Stratcom was glowing about how these flexible options are a very healthy thing for us. In February of 2018, we had the Nuclear Posture Review come out, and it was in this report that the W-76-2 warheads were recommended to be added to the arsenal, and we presented this particular report in the courtroom in our pre-trial hearings. This system is touted as being cheap, quick, and simple. And it's based on the premise of assuming that the Russians had this escalate to de-escalate protocol in place, which has not been confirmed from our military speaking to the Russians. In February of 2019, the first warhead is completed at Pantax plant. And Representative Davis at that point asked General Hyten whether he had consulted with Russia about whether we need to have this kind of weapons system in response to what they're planning. And he said, no, we haven't done that. In August of 2019, the USS Tennessee came back to Kings Bay. It was on its 88th deterrent patrol, and it was sent there in preparation for taking on this warhead. In August of 2019, that same month, it came into the dry dock for maintenance and for refitting. And in August 19th, there was congressional hearings, and the House Democrats pretty much caved into the funding of this particular project, you know, despite saying that the nuclear threshold is increased and being decreased, and the danger is increasing. And by September of 2019, the warheads were delivered to the Navy. These weapons are under the Navy's auspices. And in October of 2019, the USS Tennessee undocked, and we were put on trial October 20th. And at that point in time, they were sending out this weapon. And on December 4th, Under-Secretary of Defense Rood, one of the wolves or the hirelings of our military, at a breakfast talked about how we really needed this sea-launched D5 missile with this particular modified warhead. And then in late 2019, we think around Christmas time, a Christian gift to the world, it was deployed. It was sent out into the oceans. And we now have a situation where the question is, are we thinking of targeting Russia or the battlefield? And it looks to be Iran. It might be Trump's decision to target Iran. And of course, another one of our high priests of doomsday, Admiral Haney of Stratcom, I don't know if he's still in charge, he talked about, if it's necessary for us to respond, we will, at any time, any place, with the decision being ours. And so we have the 4 aging senior military officers who did speak to Newsweek recently saying, all 4 were concerned. They were very reluctant that there is a Donald Trump factor involved, that there is something about this president and the new weapons that makes contemplating crossing the nuclear threshold a unique danger. Thank you.